Welcome back to another week of YouTube. We are continuing on with our Regradathon here on the main farm where all the irrigation is. I've been having a lot of problems with the John Deere tractor. The previous owner had AdBlue deleted it and it wasn't quite right. I don't think it was ever quite right from new, but we managed to get it sorted. Thank you to Agro Eco Power, I think that Agro Eco Power. Bit of a funny name. Those blokes they're from Europe originally, but they've come out here and have been in Australia for 2 years, and they managed to do a decent tune on this thing and sort out a few other bugs we had with it. Anyway, she's back up in action, thank God. It's been about a week stop, which wasn't very ideal, but now it seems to be going okay, touch wood. Anyway, he is continuing on with the regrading here. This is a reasonably new block, probably the newest of our blocks that we're just touching up here, making sure it's all right and back up to scratch. There was a little bit of erosion right at the end there behind my ute that's been plaguing it a little bit, just upsetting the watering a little bit every time. But we seem to have gotten that. We'll get that sorted with this and continue on. But go for a bit of a ride on the bucket with Axel and have a bit of a look at what he's doing. I didn't really expect to be regrading this long coming into autumn and winter. Usually you get rained out and that's the end of the bucketing until it dries out again. But because it's been such a dry autumn, we've just been able to continue on. And this was originally where the popcorn was. So popcorn's gone, stubble got burnt, and we can regrade it. So there is bonuses to having dry spells, but at the end of the day, I wish we had a couple of inches under our belt, but at the end of we can get a little bit of work done, so that's beautiful. Just tipping the bale up here now, letting a little bit out. Bit of a fill area up here. I can see there's a bit of a cut over there beside the ute. Just a little bit of a cut. Sometimes they can be rather big, but generally they're not too bad when the paddock's pretty fresh after its first laser, of course. See the cutting edge doing its job down the bottom there in the dust. Picking up quite a fair bit in that cut actually. So in this fresh ground we'll generally pick up a bit and then we'll just try and smooth it out over this stuff that we've already been over. It's a crossroad, you go over it once, then you go over it again and it works pretty good. Bowl comes up when it needs smoothing out, or when there's a hole. In this case, when it needs smoothing out, the bowl will come up. Axel's in control of it all here. Not much moving out there because it's already been over once. We're really just smoothing the ground that it's going over again, and it'll come out like that beside us. Real nice. See a couple of wheel marks there where I was driving around with the ute before, but that's what it'll look like there, that run there. As you'd expect, the trees play havoc with the GPS and the height, which is a real problem for a laser bucket. But anyway, generally you just click it off its auto mode, so the auto mode keeps it at the height you want it to. You just click it off just a little bit so its area is only 1 to 2 centimetres, and just sort of go past the trees manually, if you get that sort of analogy. Coming into another bit of a cut area here now. Picking it back up into the bowl again. Bit hard to see. Hope I'm not affecting the receiver here. So this is the receiver for the height on the bucket itself. A little bit of a wet area right up the end here where there's our pontoon area there, and we're just filling a pontoon sort of in as we go. So this used to be hills back in the day, but we found the hills were sort of not overly necessary, didn't give us much of a benefit, so we just went back to flat bays essentially. Straight up flood irrigation. The big Johnny's got the bellow on. With its new and improved tune, it also gained another 50 horsepower, so it's probably enjoying that quietly, because this bucket is a monster. These 18-foot buckets are, they don't make them any bigger than 18 foot. They make them bigger in capacity, like the bowl size, but in actual width, they don't make them any bigger. And the Johnny was always pretty tongue out before, and it probably still is now, but at least doing it a little bit easier. Back into the flat country again. See, there's just a little bit of dirt always going out, or spilling in, coming out, spilling in, coming out. Well, this is coming up really good. The stark contrast to all the bloody grey clay we've been doing, this brown sort of loamier country is just much better laser bucketing. And he's going to get away with doing one cross grade pass and one final grade by the looks of it, and so we'll cross this paddock very quickly, which is good. Back up into the cut. Running out of dirt to cut here. Be a problem for him soon. We do a little bit more airing out. I have to probably go down 1/2 centimetre just to counteract it. And off he goes again. Doing a pretty good job out here actually. Yeah, this softer, it's fairly moist dirt because it's come off the corn. Doing a really good job. Anyway, we'll go see what else is going on around the farm. Yet. Still a fair bit more of this corn to come off yet. It's got a long way, well, not a long way to go, but you can still see there's a few green plants in that stuff. We'll have some other stuff back behind me there that'll come off next, I think. And the other half of the irrigator, which should prove to be interesting to see how it yields, because it always seems to be about a tonne or two better than the flood irrigation stuff. And come out here and have a look at, see how the canola's going. So this is the first canola we sowed way back on the 27th of March. Hasn't been watered at all, but it got a couple of choice rains on it, one before and one after, so it's not looking too bad. There's still a few little plants coming up here. Look at that one, he's still plenty to go in him. They sort of looked a little bit average. The strike looked a little bit average, but when you get up actually on it, it's pretty good. Gonna be good enough for this job anyway. You can see there's certainly plenty of it there. And certainly some of these plants are getting reasonably advanced. Weed burden's not too bad. It's all going quite well. Bit hard to see in the shady darkness there. Sort of look at it from the end, you go, oh, it's not a very good strike, but when you're out on here, it's perfect. Well, good enough anyway. Good enough for 4 tonne. Aim for 4 tonne to the hectare on the irrigated stuff. Don't always get it, but that's what we aim for. Thick patch there underneath the nice straw there. Would have been a header trail. This was baled, this paddock was baled, cut with windrow and baled, so we just sowed straight into the straw and it's come out pretty good really. We've got some canola underneath the lateral there. I'll go and show you that. It's been watered a couple of times. This has had no water. We don't like watering, flood irrigating the canola when it's young like that. It just tends to do more damage than good temperature wise. Stays too wet for too long and causes more damage than it's worth, so we don't generally do that. Sometimes, very rarely, we'll pre-irrigate if the season calls for it, but even then we don't really like doing that either. Rain is the best thing for emerging canola, there's no two ways about it. Of course, if we can't get any rain, we make it rain artificially. This is irrigated stuff underneath our lateral irrigator, 100 hectares in this block. Fair bit of weed competition in here, a lot more wheat, but you can see the stand's just a lot better out here. Very nice stand. Again, this has got that same rain underneath it, then a bit more on top. Now it's had, I think, 3 passes of 15 mils with the irrigator. So it's just storming forward like nothing's wrong. See, very, very thick just there. Very, very thick. This should go 4 tonne at the end of the day, but again, we'll see what the season does. Yeah, but all looking very, very healthy. Unlike all of the dry land so far. Anyway, let's talk figures for a little bit in irrigation. At the moment, there's a couple of options for us going forward, particularly having our own laser bucket and plans for another irrigator to go in at some point. I'm obviously not a big fan of the irrigators for anyone who knows, but I can see with the writings on the wall we sort of have to go for another one of those. It makes good sense with all the corn and the dryer setup we've got going that we could put a rather big, probably kilometre wide lateral irrigator in a bit closer to our main home farm. I think that's a good way to go going forward, but with the laser bucket now in tow as well, it sort of makes sense for us to capitalise on that and start forming up a couple of new flood irrigated blocks. A little bit cheaper option probably in the short term, which is good because cash is obviously tight for everyone at the moment. If you're not playing the whole farming game at the moment, cash is tight because the interest rates are high. They are slowly coming down, but the interest rates are high, and the commodity prices are low. Not to mention inputs are reasonably high. I wouldn't say they're staggering, but they are high. It's putting the squeeze on everything pretty hard. So you go, oh, I really want to build an irrigator. I was like, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars do you want to spend that you don't have, you know? But we've got a laser bucket. We could get into a little bit of it probably at the end of this season. I'm thinking we might try and start targeting one particular block I'd like to form up that's about 120 hectares. Hopefully we can go ahead with that. Hopefully we can get the terracotta on the bucket before then and utilise that system. I think that would be handy for our any plans going forward with the laser bucket. So yeah, I think that's the way we're going to head in the next 12 months to 2 years. Yeah, we'll try and just consolidate what we've got. Not so much expansion at the moment, just consolidate what we've got and try and get a bit more of the irrigation going. I can see in the next probably 3 to 4 years we're going to go into a drought. We're already trending drought sort of trends as far as rainfall goes, so the best time to form up a country is in a drought if you've got the cash to do so. Because we've got the laser buckets, just a matter of time and fuel, which is not nearly as bad, but you also need to take into consideration surveying costs Costs of irrigation stops are significant now, about $3,000 a stop. They soon add up, and then plus numerous culverts and whatever else that have to go into it. So it's not exactly cheap to do any improvements when it comes to irrigation, but at the end of the day, if they're making you money, if you can get an extra crop off every year or every second year, maybe 3 crops in 2 years, then it definitely makes more sense to go ahead and try and consolidate a bit more and just build up what you've got, utilise the systems you've got. We've got the Lowe's bucket, we've got the good corn drying system now, so it really makes sense to get on with a bit more irrigation anyway. This couple of days later, I thought I'd just come and have a look at some of the canola up in the pivots to conclude our little canola tour here. This is how it should all look. It's coming really nice here, particularly on this stuff now. The stuff up on the hill there becomes very sandy very quickly, and we have a little bit of collapsing going on up there. It collapses the rows in on the canola, but we've put, I think, 30 mils on this so far, and if you can see in the distance there, it's just getting another 30 mils now, I think, is what he's working on. My brother's in control of it. So we're just trying to get it up. You see there's a little bit of corn coming up here amongst it. I'll have to spray that out, but the canola's doing pretty well in here. I'll show you our dryland stuff that's just over here. It's not nearly as impressive as you might hope anyway, as you might expect, I'd say. Yeah, but this has come up pretty good. This is one of our corn pivots. It's coming up pretty good. It's probably the best soil out of all the pivots that we've got. As I said, the rest of them are pretty sandy up the hill there. Well, I'll just wander over quickly into this other dryland stuff, and you can see how established it is. So that's the irrigated stuff. You see, it's still coming up. It's still there. It's just short. Then there's just patches of nothing. It's too dry. Couldn't really get it in there. There's a few more over here that start emerging. Just depends how much moisture it got when it was sown, whether they come up or not. The rest of this will come up when it rains, but God knows when that'll be. You can see there's little rows here and there. But yeah, that's about the state of the dryland canola everywhere. Some of it's there, some of it's not, and all of it's rather tragic, really. But as you see, or you probably can't quite see that. There is rows there. There's green rows there. Maybe it'll be okay. At this stage, I'm not seeing anything that's probably going to need replanting, but yeah, until we get the first rain, we won't really know how it's all going to perform. But considering this is a sandy sort of a hill, it's releasing its moisture okay. But there's certainly patches, like there's patches here, there's just nothing. It's sitting there waiting to go, but it needs that rain to get going, and it's going to get a real staggered germination, which will affect yield at the other end. There's no two ways about it. But yeah, I'll just break the fourth wall a little bit here and say, hey, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching the YouTube so far. Nearly up to 3,000 subscribers. Pretty happy with how it's going so far. If you see any improvements for the videos, please let me know. I'm working very hard on the content. That's a challenge in its own right, but I worked pretty hard on the audio. I got the little mics and whatever going. I've tried to improve the camera quality as best I can. If you see any glaring obvious things that need to happen, let me know. And while I'm on the topic, merchandise is still available on the website. We have our black hoodies. If you're quick, we might leave them at $60. If you use the discount code BLACK for the next, we might leave them for another week. Hoping to get rid of a few more of those. It's going to be cold soon. Get yourself one of their hoodies because they're very, very, very warm and very comfortable. So hoodies, $60, discount code BLACK with the capital B. Make sure you put that. I'll put it in the description. I'll put the link for Agro-Eco Power in the description as well. Look them up if you want a bit extra power and a bit extra fuel economy on your tractor. They've done a really good job on a job that was pretty hard with that John Deere, so I think they deserve the plug. They've done a very good job. Might even look at them for the 600 one of these days, but for now, let's just try and get the sowing finished. We're on to the wheat. The wheat will be probably finished, not next week, but the week after, and that'll be the end of sowing. We'll be on to resow 2025. Billy Bob, who knows Billy Bob? We always sow early, so the resow is in on time. Right, catch us.